Hey guys, it's Kent. Excited here today because I have a very, very special guest, my business partner, as well as one of my best friends, a guy by the name of Roland Frasier. He is highly respected across multiple industries and for a lot of reasons. But what I want to talk today about very specifically is Roland has become a master throughout his career of navigating the mergers and acquisitions and buying of businesses, selling of businesses, of scaling businesses, which is something near and dear to my heart. And as I continue to get more and more questions about, potentially exiting a business or potentially acquiring a business, I thought no better time than now than to have him come in. Let's spend some time together. Let's try to talk about some of the the things that are out there, man. Some of the common questions people have. And so with that, man, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you made it here. I know the drive was, it was a hell of a drive getting here.
He's giving me a hard time because he says that every time he comes to see me too.
You could literally probably, if you were to fly, it might be 7 miles.
It
right?
might be, yeah.
But it's a 45 minute drive.
It is a 45 minute. Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
It's always 45 minutes.
And I seem to be the one making that drive a hell of a lot more than you are. So the
really
one day you're making it for
appreciate
me,
that.
I'm not listening to any of your bullshit.
Really appreciate that.
So, so let's talk about this, right? So you spend a great deal of time, as I said, in the business of buying and selling businesses, of acquiring businesses, and just as importantly, helping others navigate that. Mm-hmm. And as I have gotten a lot more into this over the last few years, in my own business and then in businesses with you, I'm running into more and more people that, quite frankly, one of the most common things I hear is that, I've got a good cash flow business. I've got a good thing going. I've got, I'm making $1 million a year. I'm making $500,000 a year. I've done it consistently for the last few years. Why would I ever even consider selling my business, right? So I think that's as good a place as any to kind of just jump off. Why would somebody want to sell their business?
I think it's a great question. Really, there's so many things that can happen in a business would be the first thing I would say is that we tend to think that things will always go the way that they have always gone. And yet we have these events like pandemics or disability or death or health challenges
or recessions, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's so many things that can, and even the evolution of technology where entire businesses can be completely disrupted, right?
So yeah, good point.
I think that the first thing is simply as a hedge against the unknown is kind of an interesting thing to think about. Now, the big benefit that I see though is that when you sell a business, you're paid generally on a multiple of profits or a multiple of revenue. And so the day that you sell the business, you are going to receive a multiple of the normal profit or revenue that you would otherwise get. And so let's say that you're able to sell for a multiple of 10 times. Well, if you're able to sell for a multiple of 10 times, that means you just received 10 years of profits,
right,
of what you would have received. You could have waited 10 years to receive that, or you could have it today.
And gone through all the brain damage of making that happen.
And the risk.
Right.
Right. So to me, the risk is the least important reason for me when I'm exiting. The most important reason is that I don't know of a faster way to build exponential generational wealth than to have multiple exits. Because if I'm selling now on average one business every quarter and I'm getting a multiple of, let's just say 10 on average, because that's a pretty fair average, that means that every year I'm getting 40 years of profits. So after 10 years, I can either have 400 years, 4 centuries of profits, or I could still have my business and have earned 10 years of income.
Right.
That's pretty huge.
It's pretty huge. It's astronomical, right? When you think about it like that. And I think what's even worth at least acknowledging is that the most valuable your dollar will ever be is today.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I can take 10 years off the table and get it today.
To have it working for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I have the ability to go make that money work for me.
Right.
right?
Exactly.
It is valuable today. If I'm waiting 10 years, then that dollar is only declining in value over the course of that period.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing is that if you're holding on to your business for your kids, another thing I hear a lot, they don't want it. They don't want it. They want to be Instagram stars. They want to be influencers. They've got their own dreams and hopes. And only, I think the research I saw was only about 2% of businesses typically successfully pass generationally because the kids don't want it. They're not qualified. They don't know,
It wasn't their dream.
They want to do their own thing. Yeah, exactly. Don't force your dream off on them. It's like trying to make them a football player because that's what you wanted in high school and you never got to do it. It's just sad. So, but the main thing is that, you will be freed up to do whatever you want to do, and you'll be able to really compound the amount of profits that you get. And that when I got that, I was like, I'm always in this to sell this business.
Right.
That's my goal. Now, if you have like no other ideas, no other hopes or dreams, and this is your baby and you want to stick with it, then you shouldn't sell. But if you're thinking about it from a pure play of finance, if you're thinking about it from the fastest way to build wealth, if you're thinking about it from the fastest way to get the largest return on what you do, and if you have any idea of what else you might want to do with the money or what else you might want to do with your life, then it's kind of crazy not to.
So, I know you run into it. I run into it as well. There's a lot of fear of disbelief that somebody would actually buy my business.
Yep.
Right? So talk for a second about the people, the companies, the organizations that buy these businesses and pay that multiple, right? Because it's a huge world out there. We only know what we know, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important because when I talk to people, they get trapped in their own dogma, their own head thinking, well, I can't imagine somebody would actually do this. But the reality of it is it happens every day.
It does, yeah. And what's interesting is the growth of so there's several different classes of potential buyer. There are strategic buyers who are buying to fill some gap in their business. Your business is good at lead generation or has an audience that somebody wants that would enable them to sell more of their products or services. Or it's a status buy because your thing is going to be the crown jewel because you have the largest company that does X and they want to own that company. Those are typically corporate buyers that are doing that. So you've got corporations, that's one class of buyer. You've got companies that simply exist to buy other companies because it's very profitable to buy and sell. And those are called generally private equity funds or PE. You also have public companies that are set up specifically to buy and take companies public. That would take private companies public. Those are right now called SPACs. Over the years, they've been called lots of things, blind pools, S-18 companies, special purpose acquisition companies is what a SPAC stands for. Then there are now a lot more family offices that are getting in acquiring. And family offices are great acquirers because they're not so much buying to acquire and flip like a private equity company. They're generally long-term hold. They want management to stay in place, and they're going to be there with you to grow. They're going to be probably a little bit more forgiving if things don't go exactly the way that you hope they would. Whereas,
so they're buying because they have a responsibility to deploy capital on behalf of the family.
Correct.
And create some kind of return.
Yes.
And so they're looking more along the lines of trying to protect wealth.
Yeah. Well, it's wealth preservation is their primary goal. Let's not lose money.
Yeah, let's not lose money.
But also they're long-term investors. Like they're not really trading companies, whereas private equity is in it typically for 6-7 years and then they're out.